Hey there guys, it's April 4th, 2018. No time to waste in this one, so let's get to work. Alright, so getting into everything here, what I'm going to begin doing is just going through all the Q posts over the last couple days, because there's been quite a few of them, and I'm just going to give you my thoughts quickly on them. And I'm going to begin right here on April 2nd. So Q took a few days off, and then began posting on the 8chan boards again with this right here, responding to a question by an Anon, asking, "How was your Easter, Q?" And then Q goes and posts this screen capture and says, "We had a good laugh," and this shot was of all the screenshots of mainstream media outlets just shitting all over Roseanne Barr for tweeting support of Trump conspiracy theory. And you can see right here, Think Progress, Newsweek, Daily Mail, Medium, The Hill, man, all these outlets totally putting QAnon out into the national spotlight. And you gotta wonder what's really going on with Roseanne Barr, who she's in contact with and what she knows. And then this next post right here is really interesting. I'm gonna do my best to give you the background on what's going on with this one. So an Anon posted this meme right here of Beverly Eckert. And Beverly Eckert's husband was killed during the 9/11 attacks. And this meme here says that she rejected a near $2 million payout from the government and filed a lawsuit against the government instead. And then shortly after meeting President Obama, she died in a plane crash just a few days later. And then the Anon said, "Hey Q, HRC with this date." This is a date that Q posted just a few days ago in reference to something. We didn't really know what it was at first. But this Anon seemed to make the connection that this date was actually the day that this woman's plane crashed. And then Q went and said, "Timestamp is key." So this is where it gets interesting. The time that Q posted, 2/12/09, a couple days ago, he posted it at 11:17. Amazingly enough, the exact same time this woman died. The plane crashed at 11:17 on 2/12/09. Q posted that date at 11:17 a couple days ago. And this seems to be a very clear reference that HRC, Hillary Clinton, could have very well played a part in this woman's plane crashing. Now let's move up to the next drop here. This one being a link to a Breitbart article talking about the Utah federal prosecutor being much better than Trump's second special counsel. You can see the headline right here if you squint real hard. But anyway, that federal prosecutor that Sessions appointed was John Huber. And even in the Breitbart article, it says that by appointing that special prosecutor, results are going to be had for President Trump, it says right here, far more quickly than a second special counsel. And right here it also says that that federal prosecutor is going to combine all the powers of the U.S. Department of Justice Inspector General with a prosecutor who can bring charges, seek indictments, and like I said, get results. And then Q asks some questions right here. Why was this made public? Well, of course, what's the sealed indictment count at? Near 25,000. I'm sure that that might be coming to a head very soon, which was why this was made public. Who was John Huber appointed by? Removed by? Reappointed by? Well, he was, let me zoom in here so you can see this. There we go. John Huber was appointed by President Obama, removed by Trump, reappointed by Trump. So the fact that John Huber was originally appointed by Obama, when all this starts coming to a head and John Huber starts making waves and his name starts going around the mainstream media more, they're not going to have any legs to stand on in trying to use this as political ammunition, you see, just because he was appointed by Obama. So, oh man, this guy was appointed by Obama, crap. That's going to give them much less of a political psyop angle, you see what I'm saying? And then this next one, still on April 2nd, this one's kind of a longer stringer we'll go through. It says, April A. IG report, Sessions public attack, RR problems, maybe that means Rod Rosenstein, and then seals broken. Just like we stated, those sealed indictments, seals broken, could very well be broken in April. Arrests, even potentially here. Why was Huber made public? Why now? We just talked about that. Awan being mentioned as well, and funny enough, Awan was just in the news a few days ago. This one here on Fox and Friends, saying the IG report finds nearly 50 Democrats waived background checks for Pakistani IT aides accused of hacking. No coincidence, guys. That's, there's a very good reason why this is still in the news and making headlines specifically now. So back to Q here. Iran, North Korea, Uranium One, FBI, DOJ, basically listing all the things that it looks like are going to be coming to a head. Election integrity. That's going to be a real easy way to take down a few bad actors. Immigration bill, border wall, and funny enough, Trump was also in the news just yesterday for deploying the military to the border wall. Zero Hedge reporting on it here. Trump deploys U.S. military to southern border. Big month, Q is saying, big month. And then what some people also notice is all of the bolded and bracketed A's in this stringer. I saw some people speculate that that could be meaning Assange. So it could be such that Assange might be very well playing a big part in what's going to happen here in April. And then very next post, Q essentially referencing himself, as he does when he likes to make a he, they, them, it, likes to make a very specific point on things. Right here he's saying Facebook, Amazon, Twitter, and Google, big problems for all of them. And it's no question that it's pretty amazing, the power that the president's Twitter account holds. He just tweets about Facebook or tweets about Amazon, and their shares tank. And now we're getting into the post from April 3rd. So right here, and Anon posted tip-top, tippy-top shape. This was in reference to Donald Trump's speech he gave the other day, where this is what he mentioned in the speech, tip-top, tippy-top. And it seemed very odd, very out of place, as does so many interesting things the president does. For instance, the Fiji water bottle. Remember that one? Well, right here, Q is saying, it was requested. The tip-top, tippy-top quote there. Did you listen today? Meaning the speech. Did you actually listen to it and hear it? So here's how that connects. Back in January, at the very end of January, an Anon on the 8chan boards asked Q team and the president and whatnot, just basically asked whoever's watching the boards for some kind of confirmation that involves the use of tip-top, whether it was in a tweet or a speech or whatnot. And I saw somebody actually dig up that post. It was from January 30th. Seems a long time ago, but very interesting that that is coming out now as a confirmation. So we essentially had that confirmation, tip-top, tippy-top, in the president's speech, and Q saying, it was requested, did you listen? And how many confirmations do we need, guys? There's literal, almost direct now, messages being played out on administration Twitters, Trump speeches, things like that, that's literally telling you that they are listening to the boards. The next one right here, WWG1WGA, where we go one, we go all. Drops will go fast. As you can tell, we got a lot to go through here. White House cleaning signal, maybe. Marker, everything is planned. And then right here, I like these ones. Lexington and Concord, referencing the American Revolutionary War, because we're very much in another Revolutionary War right now. And then in the next one, he's saying, follow Bolton. So John Bolton, the new national security advisor who was hired to basically go in and literally clean house, clean White House. Q's saying, follow him. And then the next stringer saying, future proofs past, several today, one day, RR. So maybe something is going to break in the news today on April 4th. I mean, it's the morning here. With Q saying, future is going to prove past with something dropping in the media that's going to prove the boards. And maybe something in regards to RR is going to drop today, one day after, to prove the past. So let's keep an eye out on the news today. Ooh, and then this is big news, getting into some heavy territory here. And Anon asked, P equals Pope, question mark. And then Q says, Pope will be having a terrible May. Those who backed him will be pushed into the light, dark to light. So pretty much here saying that if people are unconscious as to what's really going on, something is going to break that's going to force them to see. And then in the very next post, getting into even deeper territory, Q is referencing an Anon saying, holy shit, tell us Q, how many are connected to the Roths? And then Q says, the chair serves the master. Who is the master? P equals C. So P meaning Pope, C, I'm assuming here meaning chair. So the Pope is the chair, and the Pope is serving the master. Questioning, who is the master? Who is the real master of the Pope? Is that a Rothschild? Is that someone in the crown? Or is that the Black Pope even? That's something that I'm speculating. Could even be a deeper level of Pope that we're not seeing. And then next one here, why is Epstein spending $29 million to bury the tunnels underneath his temple on Epstein Island? Problem, phones were allowed in. These people are stupid. I'm imagining that there was probably some meeting on Epstein's Island where they were discussing some stuff and phones were allowed into it. They were able to gather the intel and listen in on that meeting. And this might be a drop from that meeting, a message sent out there that they knew what was being said there. And let's answer that question. Why is that much money being used to bury the tunnels underneath Epstein Island? Well, now let's answer that question. So why is Epstein spending so much money to bury the tunnels on his island? Well, check this one out. Q actually posted, looked like to be a satellite image of Epstein Island here, and asked, where do roads lead? Then making a reference to some of their satanic practices. Each prince is associated with a cardinal direction, north, south, east, and west, sacrifice, and then collect. Well, why would Epstein, let's get back to that question, be spending so much money to bury the tunnels on his island? Well, I would imagine to hide evidence, something or other. And right here, where do roads lead? Well, A, all roads lead to Rome. But also, B, when looking at his island here, you see all these roads that kind of lead to, like, nothing, nowhere. Look to be, there's a couple buildings on it, but man, there's even roads going to this big patch of nothingness. I would think that in regards to Epstein's Island, all roads lead to somewhere. You're not going to make a road if it doesn't go somewhere. So the reason all these roads go somewhere is because it's probably going underground. They're going under to those tunnels. So I think that's what Q might be referencing here is, of course, there's always multiple meanings to what he posts. All roads lead to Rome, but all roads also lead to something in this case being something underground that Epstein is spending apparently $29 million to bury. Ooh, and then this next one. I think Q is really trying to break the internet here. Look at this meme that an Anon posted that Q reposted. If Satanists took over the Vatican, would you even notice? Look at this right here. That is a picture from somewhere on the Vatican grounds, and then it literally looks like a reptile. You can see the symbolism. Q saying here, symbolism will be their downfall, money, power, influence, the bite that has no cure. The NSA saying, I'm thinking here that the NSA, at least white hat elements of it, is the bite that has no cure. They're the ones that are getting rid of this corruption because they have the tools and technology and assets to listen in on these people, to gather the intel and to root them out, right? And you know what's amazing to me with this one right here is that some people don't want to believe the idea of there being reptilian extraterrestrials. It like makes them really uncomfortable or something to that effect. They have a difficult time expanding their thinking when it comes to non-terrestrial species and whatnot. It's right in front of your face, man. Do they have to literally slap you with the truth for you to get it? I mean, the hints and the evidence are right there. Now, I'm not saying reptilians are biological shapeshifters and a lot of our political elite are reptilians with meat suits or costumes on. I don't think either of those things. I don't think they can biologically shapeshift or that many political elite we see in public are reptilians. But how much evidence, how much testimony, how much do we need out there to start putting the dots together that, yes, there are some forces far above us on this planet that are having a direct hand in shaping the evil on it. And that brings us to the last couple posts. There was some security tests late last night. I was on 8chan last night, and man, it was slow. So there was obviously some skullduggery going on with that there. And then this one, we are under attack. This is a YouTube link to a video showing military basically being ready. I'm not going to play it here, but it says, war, no deals. UK, rogue failure, POTUS decline, prepared at all costs. So things are truly coming to a head here. And then the very last one we have, bunker forest blue, the 3 pluses again, plus, 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 plus. Remember, this means, I believe, 3 pluses is Rothschilds, 2 pluses is Soros, 1 plus is the House of Sod, and April showers. What do April showers bring? May flowers. I think April is going to be a very tumultuous month. A lot of big things might break and cause chaos. But again, in May, it starts to bloom. So I think in May we might be seeing some counter effects to that chaos. A lot of stuff might break in April, but in May we might see things happen that are going to calm people. Maybe some disclosures occur that are going to help us all find the way. I'm really hoping that happens. And that's basically it in regards to the Q post that I wanted to share with you guys. Again, I just sprinkle a couple opinions on each of the Q posts. There's other researchers that focus more on Q and delve deeper into their research and speculatings regarding it. But yeah, lots of Q posts, lots of things coming to a head. And now we'll get into some of the news that other articles that I wanted to share. Of course, this happened yesterday, the event occurring at YouTube headquarters. Now, I'm frankly not going to discuss much on this. If you follow me on Twitter, I've been more open with sharing information, evidence, and opinions there. But just because of the sensitivity behind this situation, I'm going to refrain from it here. But remember, go follow me on Twitter if you want some more info on that. And you know, I mentioned earlier that Awan case being still in the mainstream media, but I didn't mention this. So this is something that broke here on Zero Hedge. They're reporting about it. A rogue network of cellular eavesdropping devices have been discovered throughout Washington, D.C. And if you know a thing or two about the Awan case, Imran Awan essentially led a spy ring on members of Congress, if you want to call it that. And that's why that's such a big issue. Well, man, a rogue network of cellular eavesdropping devices would be a very convenient way to assist you with that, right? To assist you with spying on certain people in and around Washington, D.C. So, me's just wondering if these are connected in any way, shape, or form. If Awan is hitting the media again, and this information was leaked or dropped to coincide with that in some way, shape, or form. Alright, so now let's move on. We talked about Trump deploying the U.S. military to the southern border. Now I want to talk about this story, and I'm going to use GQ as an example right here just because they're a very easy propaganda example to use. But check this headline out. It says, Sinclair Broadcasting's naked propaganda has direct ties to the White House. And, you know, this story has been circulating over the past few days. I'm sure you've seen the videos of it where local reporters from around the country are kind of parroting the same warnings about fake news, and they all have ties to Sinclair Broadcasting. Sinclair Broadcasting is that national conglomerate that owns a bunch of local reporting stations, which is why you saw that same talking point get circulated to all the local anchors. And Sinclair Broadcasting has taken heat for it, and of course the national mainstream propaganda outlets are trying to use this in their PSYOP war, shitting on the White House and Sinclair Broadcasting and whatnot. But like I've been saying, I think some people are taking this the wrong way. Yes, all of these news outlets are getting their same talking points, but that's just the way media is. Did you actually listen to what they were saying? All those local news outlets, right here, it says they were reciting word for word a script railing against false news and fake stories. They weren't necessarily talking about fake news and false stories on social media. They were actually talking about fake news originating on the internet but making its way into mainstream media. So if you really dissect what they were saying, it was actually more so media reporting or warning you about what's found on other media. Now, they didn't necessarily say CNN or the New York Times or the Washington Post, but that's essentially what they were alluding to. And this idea that reporters get their talking points, and it's the same talking points for hundreds of reporters, it's been done for years. I mean, you can go find YouTube videos from years ago of local reporters from around the country saying the exact same thing about the exact same story. So this is nothing different. But understand, the fact that Sinclair Broadcasting Group and thus these local reporters were warning you about fake news from the national mainstream media, that's why this is an issue now. That's why we're seeing this in GQ and on CNN and Washington Post. So you got to really see and look at the deeper layers of the info war that we have going on, of these PSYOP games, because we have essentially two forms of propaganda combating each other here. We have what you could call malevolent propaganda and benevolent propaganda. Propaganda for truth and propaganda for lies. So what I feel coming out of Sinclair Broadcasting Group and what all of these local reporters are saying, they're warning us about fake news in the media. That's like benevolent truth propaganda right there, you know? But the malevolent propaganda is all that shit we see coming out of CNN, Washington Post, and all of those, you know, deep state pillars of propaganda. Now moving on to the next article here, this one out of True Pundit. Democratic Representative Esty, I think she was out of Connecticut, says she won't seek re-election after abuse claims against ex-staffer. So she essentially failed to protect one of her female staffers from a male staffer that she had. And there was harassment and abuse going on there, and she didn't do damn shit about it. So now she's saying that she's going to step down. Big news. Add her to the list of how many notable people have resigned over the past few months. And now let's move to the last couple stories that I want to share with you. These two coming from overseas. The first one here, the palace just confirmed that ailing Prince Philip is being admitted to the hospital, Queen Elizabeth's husband. So granted, yes, he's really old, he's 96, but very big news, and I don't think this is just having to do with some kind of sickness or flu. I mean, you got to understand the kind of technologies these people probably have access to. He could probably live longer if he wanted to, but the fact is he's being admitted to the hospital now, and the palace has confirmed that he's ailing. I mean, is this a way to escape the public light? Is this a way to get out of certain obligations that he's had just because of this civil war that's going on? I don't know. I just think there's a lot more to this story than what meets the eye here. And then the very last thing I want to share with you here, look at this. Salisbury poisoning. UK experts cannot prove that nerve agent used to kill that asset came from Russia. So remember that Russian in the UK was poisoned a few weeks ago, and that looked like to very well be some kind of false flag or some event that was trying to create a war between Russia and the West. Well, that didn't work, and now UK experts are saying that they can't even prove that nerve agent came from Russia. So it's now pretty obvious that event, that poisoning of that individual, that Russian, was a false flag, essentially, trying to be used to justify a war between Russia and the West. But it's not going to work. Remember, even Q said right here in one of his last drops, UK rogue failure, POTUS decline. I'm assuming that's even connecting to this right here, in that the president declined the invitation to war. And in the UK, one of their rogue factions failed. They failed at creating this war between Russia and the West. And that's all for this one, guys. Thank you for tuning in here with me. I'll be back very soon. Remember to like and subscribe and share this information. All the accompanying links will be down below this video. And thank all of you for your support. Peace.